Why are so many people talking about the Dajjal again? Every time the world feels unstable, this fear comes back. War, division, religious tension, economic pressure, and a growing feeling that something is deeply wrong. For many people, this is exactly the kind of chaos that makes the Dajjal prophecy feel terrifyingly relevant. So why does this figure return to people's minds whenever the world starts shaking? And why do so many believe that the conditions for deception may already be forming? The Dajjal is feared in Islamic tradition as the great deceiver, not just a force of evil, but a figure of manipulation. Someone who appears when people are vulnerable, when truth is harder to recognize, and when fear makes false certainty feel attractive. That is what makes the story powerful. It is not only about destruction, it is about persuasion, not only about power, but about people being drawn to power. And that idea becomes much more unsettling when the real world already feels unstable. Look at what is happening around the world. Wars spreading across regions, religious anger rising, people losing trust in institutions, fear moving faster than facts, and millions of people looking for simple answers in a very complicated world. This does not prove any prophecy, but it does explain why apocalyptic fears grow stronger in times like these. Because when people feel overwhelmed, they become more vulnerable to absolute answers. And the story of the Dajjal is built around exactly that fear. A world so shaken that deception no longer looks impossible. It looks believable. This is why the idea keeps returning, not because every crisis means the end is here, and not because every war is a final sign, but because chaos changes how people think. When fear becomes constant, discernment gets weaker. People become more emotional, more reactive, more desperate for certainty. And when that happens, the line between truth and illusion gets easier to blur. That is why this prophecy still grips people, because it asks a disturbing question. If a false savior appeared at the right moment, how many people would follow? Maybe that is the real reason this story feels so alive during global crisis, not only because people fear the future, but because they recognize the pattern. A frightened world, a divided public, a hunger for certainty, and the rising power of deception. That combination makes the Dajjal feel less like a distant story and more like a warning people suddenly take seriously. So whether someone sees the prophecy as literal, symbolic, or theological, one fact remains: the fear grows strongest when the world feels easiest to manipulate. So is the Dajjal near? No one can answer that with certainty, but the reason people keep asking is not hard to understand. Because every age of chaos creates the same terrifying possibility, a world desperate enough to believe the wrong voice. And maybe that is why this prophecy never really disappears. It returns whenever fear does.